Wealthy people feel money fear, too. They simply don't let that fear drive their car. That single difference quietly shapes their entire financial life. It changes almost everything money-related. Most people meet fear with panic and sudden moves. The wealthy meet it with stillness and slow breath. The fear itself is identical inside the body. The response around it separates two very different lives. This isn't about being braver than anyone. It's a trained temperament that refuses to act on adrenaline. That temperament is the real edge most people overlook. It hides in plain sight, quiet and unglamorous. By the end, you'll see how. You'll see the inner moves that turn fear into clarity. Money fear is one of the loudest emotions in life. It sounds urgent, important, impossible to ignore. The wealthy learn to hear it without obeying it. They treat fear as information, not as a command. A signal worth noticing, never an instruction to follow. That subtle reframe changes thousands of small decisions. When money feels scary, most people want to act now. Sell, withdraw, cancel, hide, refresh the screen. Action becomes a way to escape the discomfort of waiting. Doing feels better than sitting with uncertainty. The wealthy know fast action under fear is expensive. They notice the urge to move, then slow down. Slowness becomes their quiet form of self-protection. It looks boring from outside by design. No dramatic exits, no panic selling, no announcements, just a person staying seated while others stand up. Inside, they're doing something specific. They separate the feeling of fear from the actual facts. That separation is where calm decisions begin. Without it, every choice gets tangled in raw emotion. A common mind says, "I'm scared something is wrong." A wealthy mind says, "I'm scared, let me look." One reacts to the body's signal. The other listens to it, then thinks before moving an inch. This is the first quiet move of temperament. Notice the fear, name it, and refuse to merge with it. You are the one feeling the fear. You are not the fear itself, however it feels. When markets shake or income wobbles, fear amplifies headlines. Everything starts to feel like a permanent emergency. The wealthy have lived through enough cycles to doubt it. They remember crises pass, even when they seem endless. Almost every past panic softened, shifted, or faded. That memory becomes a quiet anchor in storms. Most people lack this memory because they avoid history. They focus on this moment, this headline, today. Without context, every dip feels uniquely catastrophic. Perspective gets crushed under the weight of now. The wealthy zoom out when fear zooms them in. They ask where this moment sits on a longer timeline. That question deflates a surprising amount of panic. It reminds them this is one chapter, not the whole book. They also know fear loves a small screen. Phones, alerts, and refreshing make problems feel enormous. Distance from the screen is often distance from the panic, so they create friction between themselves and impulsive moves. A waiting period, a sleep on it rule, a trusted call. Friction protects calm minds from their own spikes. Notice the pattern here. None of this is a secret strategy, hidden trick, or insider knowledge. It's not a clever investment or formula. It's a way of relating to fear most people never learn. Pause and ask yourself something honest. When money fear hits you, what's the first thing you do? Do you act, scroll, hide, or sit and breathe? There's no wrong answer here, only useful awareness. Share your answer in the comments below. Your reflection might be the line another viewer needs to read. Sometimes seeing your pattern in words softens it. Naming it is often the first step toward changing it. Let's go deeper into how the wealthy view loss. Because handling money fear is mostly handling loss. Their relationship with loss is quietly different. It shapes how they respond when numbers move down. Most people treat loss as proof they did wrong. A dip feels like a personal failure or warning. Shame quickly joins the fear, pushing fast moves. Two heavy emotions stacked on one shaky moment. The wealthy expect loss as part of long financial life, not as punishment, but the cost of staying invested. They've accepted that not every season will be green. Some seasons will be dry, and that's not disaster. That pre-acceptance is powerful in the heat of the moment. When fear arrives, they aren't ambushed by surprise. They rehearsed this discomfort mentally before it arrived. The visit is unwelcome but never unfamiliar. Common thinking says, I should never feel this. Wealthy thinking says, of course this will visit sometimes. One fights reality, exhausting itself in the process. The other makes room for what was always coming. Making room for fear is not enjoying it. They don't fake peace while secretly rigid inside. They let fear move through without letting it steer. The wave is felt, observed, and eventually released. Think of fear like weather inside the body. It rolls in, lingers, then thins out and passes. The wealthy treat money fear as weather, not identity. It happens to them, but it doesn't define them. When weather arrives, you don't redesign your house. You wait, adjust slightly, and protect what matters most. Their decisions during fear stay restrained and proportional. They don't tear down years of work for a bad week. Most panic moves are wildly disproportionate to the situation. A small dip triggers a full exit and overhaul. The wealthy resist the scale mismatch between feeling and action. They ask a quiet question that reshapes everything. Is this real change in my long picture or noise? Most fear, examined honestly, is temporary noise. This question is one of their most useful tools. Real change deserves a thoughtful, careful response. Noise deserves patience, perspective, and no action. Separating the two is a learned skill, not a gift. By separating noise from signal, they avoid reactive moves. Each reactive move tends to lock in losses. Calm is not only emotional comfort, it is also, quietly and deeply, one of the most protective forces. Another quiet habit is how they speak to themselves. Their inner voice is firm, kind, and matter-of-fact. Not you idiot. More like, okay, let's look clearly. Harsh self-talk amplifies fear and clouds judgment. Steady self-talk lowers the volume, so thinking returns. They guard their inner tone like a serious asset. They also know fear narrows attention dramatically. Under panic, the mind sees only threats and worst cases. Opportunities, options, and nuance temporarily disappear from view. The world shrinks to a single terrifying frame. Knowing this, they widen their view in scary moments. They list what's still working and still stable. That wider view loosens fear's grip on decisions. The picture grows and panic shrinks in proportion. Most people do the opposite, scanning only for bad news. Each negative input deepens the spiral. Attention itself becomes a tool they use intentionally. Where they look shapes how they feel and act. Here, many viewers expect a clever trick. The truth is plainer and more powerful than any trick. Their real advantage is emotional maturity around uncertainty. That kind of maturity outperforms strategies over decades. Uncertainty is the real environment of money. No plan removes it, no income level erases it. The wealthy stop fighting uncertainty and start befriending it. They make peace with not knowing every outcome. Befriending uncertainty doesn't mean loving risk or recklessness. It means accepting that not knowing is part of money. From that acceptance, calmer choices become possible. The pressure to predict everything quietly falls away. Common thinking treats uncertainty as a problem to eliminate. Wealthy thinking treats it as a condition to live with. One leads to constant anxiety and exhausting vigilance. The other leads to patience and conserved energy. There's another subtle move worth naming. The wealthy rarely make important decisions inside peak fear. They wait for the wave to lower before choosing big. Peak panic is rarely the clearest moment. They might journal, walk, sleep, or sit with discomfort. Then they revisit when their system is quieter. The same situation often looks different a day later. Time itself is a tool they use with great respect. Most people do the opposite, deciding fastest when scared. They confuse urgency in the body with urgency in life. Almost always the urgency was emotional, not financial. The chess clock was louder than the wall clock. This is why temperament beats intelligence here. A brilliant mind and a panicked body still makes panicked choices. A steady body lets even an average mind decide well. The nervous system, in the end, runs everything. The wealthy invest heavily in steadiness, not just assets. Sleep, routine, perspective, and honest reflection matter deeply. These aren't soft extras on the side. They are the foundation of clear thinking under real pressure. Consider how this applies to your money life. You don't need a fortune to begin practicing this temperament. You can start with the next moment of fear. The chance to practice will arrive sooner than you think. When it arrives, try one small move first. Pause, exhale slowly, and say, "This is fear talking." That sentence creates a gap between feeling and action, and that gap you regain the power to choose. Without that gap, fear chooses for you almost every time. Building that gap again and again forms temperament. Another grounded step is deciding before storms arrive. Choosing calm what you'll do if scary things happen. Then in fear, you follow your earlier, wiser self. You don't have to invent courage while your hands shake. This is how they outsource calm to past selves. They've already promised in advance not to act in panic. When fear hits, they're keeping a promise, not improvising. The decision was made when the mind was clearer. You can do this in small, simple ways. Promise you won't check balances obsessively during bad week. Promise one night of sleep before any big move. Promise one call to someone steady before acting. These promises seem small, but they rewire reactions. Over months and years, they become your default temperament. What looked rare becomes simply how you operate. The new normal replaces the old anxious one. Notice that none of this requires being fearless. You'll still feel waves of worry, doubt, and tension sometimes. The goal isn't to erase fear, which is impossible. It's to stop being driven blindly by what fear says. Think of fear as a passenger in your car. It can ride along, but never grab the wheel. The wealthy don't argue with the passenger. They keep driving with both hands steady on the road. Over time, the passenger speaks less because nobody obeys it. Fear shrinks when it cannot steer you anymore. This is the long, quiet reward of practiced temperament. The voice that once shouted becomes a manageable whisper. You may not see results in a week or month. Years later, you'll notice you don't panic like before. That shift, more than any tactic, changes a financial life. Calm decisions compound just like calm savings. If money fear has been loud lately, pause. You are not broken, weak, or behind in any way. You're responding like a human with a human nervous system. The work isn't to feel less, only to relate differently. Start where you are with the next spike of fear. Notice it, name it, breathe before acting dramatically. That's how wealthy temperament begins in any life. The first step is not a fortune. It's one steady breath. If this helped you see your patterns clearly, stay close, subscribe, and turn on the bell for future reflections. This channel helps you build a calm, patient mind. Quiet wisdom, shared steadily, is what we offer here. Share one money fear you'd like to handle differently below. Naming it out loud is often the first step. Your words may steady someone reading right after you. A small, honest sentence travels further than you think. Lasting wealth isn't about reacting faster than others. It's about reacting slower, wiser, from a steadier place. That steadiness is available, starting with your next breath. The fear may stay. From today, it no longer drives.